Someone just we're going to play a game. I'm like, that's not game.
Should be recording now, Dan.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Dan Hart. I'm the Head of Community Engagement at Argyle Community Trust. I've just obviously got some slides for you today just to introduce some of the work that we do around race and ethnicity in sport. I'm going to talk to you briefly about some of the programmes that we're already involved in, some of them which we've been involved in the past, and again, some of the topics that we're looking to be involved in the future. And just aside of that, some of the focus of the session will be on Plymouth itself, the city that maybe some of you live in or certainly study in, some of the changes in the city, some of the increasing diversity of the city, and how that continues to change as the city becomes a slightly different place. Some of the key objectives of the session will be for us again to look at Plymouth, how local perspectives on race and sport differ and have progressed over the years, how the city landscape looks and any prevalent issues in the city when it comes to race, ethnicity and inclusion, and then some of the current trust projects, some of the community trust projects here at Argyle that involve work in the ethnicity field and working with people from different backgrounds and cultures. Plymouth is a city, so we always start to look at this and figure out how Plymouth looks, the makeup of the population. So there are 263,000, just over, people that live in the city. These stats date back to 2019. 50% or just over 50% of the population is female, and slightly under that is 50% male. So it is a very, very slightly female skewed city in terms of population. Some interesting statistics that we cover. There were 529 reports and incidences of hate crime in Plymouth reported to the Devon and Cornwall Police Constabulary in 2018 to 19, and that was an increase of 22% on the year previous. 66% of these hate crimes reported were linked to race. And also, people from other religions than Christianity were less likely to agree that they belonged to their local area than Christians, at 65% who did feel that they belonged in the city, or those of no religion, which was 50%. We always highlight and we always maintain that we are always looking at the populace of the city and how we can change our offering. Plymouth is slowly becoming a more diverse place. The proportion of the people in the city registered back in 2000 was just over 97%. That's changed and it continues to change over the years, so that the current and most previous recent census, we predict that will show us that under 90% of the city is made up of white British people, and shows again that the city is becoming a much more diverse place with people from different backgrounds living amongst the communities we live in. Children from BAME backgrounds account for just under 7% of the total child population, against a rising figure. English as a second language in key stages 1 and 2 is 8% of children. So 8% of children in those key stages don't speak English as their first language. And at key stage 3 and 4, that figure is slightly lower at 6%. The national average is however, 21%. So you can think about some of the much more diverse cities, some of the capitals and major cities amongst the country. That average figure is much, much higher. But again, in Plymouth, it's a figure that is rising year on year. Islamophobia is an ongoing problem in the city, and again affects a lot of communities within Plymouth, and it's something that we'll talk about slightly more later in these slides. And the other important fact that we are constantly measuring, constantly working upon, is the fact that Plymouth is now an official dispersal area for asylum seekers. And that means that around 300 people can be accommodated in the city at any given time. And that's actually happened very recently in the city, where just under 300 people from Afghanistan were actually given asylum in Plymouth. These are some of an example of some of the issues that we've been involved in tackling alongside partners. So you can see here, just on the left of the screen, an Instagram account that was set up, was active and deleted in a fairly short period of time of just over 24 hours. But the impact that this Instagram account had on young people amongst the city, and again, people and organisations that tackle hate crime, was enormous. So the Instagram account basically was set up by young people with extreme opinions and beliefs, and was actually posting pictures of local school children of BAME background, posting their full names, posting the school that they went to, posting in some cases personal details about their lives, and actively encouraging students in the city to hate them, to maybe attack them, whether that's online or physically. Again, something that doesn't happen too often here in Plymouth, something that showed the still massive need for change amongst the populace in the city, and also something that we were actively involved in tackling alongside two key partners, which were Plymouth Hope, a local migrant charity, and also working with the Plymouth City Council to contact schools, to assist in getting this page shut down, and to work with victims of the abuse, some of which were already known to us here at the Trust, to make sure that they firstly weren't attacked, secondly had the correct help and support to talk to a mentor, one of our targeted youth mentors, and also some pastoral care to maybe engage them in sessions. But yeah, it was all victim focused rather than perpetrator focused, which was handled by the authority. So the next slide, it contains a video, and this slide's all around how we built foundations, how we looked at our work back in 2018 and how we could strengthen that in the city of Plymouth, how we could become a more diverse organisation, and how we could work more closely with organisations in Plymouth to help our work become more enriched and further our reach into new communities. And one of the ways we did that was by putting on the event in the video I'm going to show you shortly. It was a partnership event with the Devon FA and with Plymouth Hope, where we hosted an evening at Home Park, the football stadium, before a game in the Cup, and we spoke about opportunities in coaching, opportunities in the game, where people from minority communities can become involved. So I'll just play this video now.
We're here at Plymouth Argyle Football Club. Fantastic support we've had from the club. We're looking to run an event in line with Black History Month, so to celebrate everything that's gone on in previous, but more importantly, to get people together that want to engage in football moving forward in any role, to be honest. But our angle is obviously we're here trying to get them inspired and involved in coaching.
Well, we live in a world where people are moving from, coming from all corners around the world. These days where we're talking about immigration, we're talking about Brexit, we have a rise, especially in Plymouth, in terms of smaller communities. I think it is really important that we have projects that brings communities together. The best way is football, really, and I think I always use our story when we started back in 2008. It was just one football, over 50 people, different languages, more than 40 nationalities. We're all kicking one ball. And I think for us, that was the message really right at the beginning. Same rules. Yeah, it doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't ask you what's your social background. People just love it and just go around it. So I think, what is there better really to bring people together than football?
Yes, for us here at the Trust, as well as the football club, we're welcoming as many people as we can here. It's very important for us to open up to avenues into coaching, into football in general and sport.
Well, there couldn't be a better partnership, really. Our local professionals, we are the leading grassroots organizations working with BME, refugees, and also local people. Obviously, National FA giving us more support. There couldn't be a better partnership, and I think it's a great start of something that could be sustainable and really do what we do a bit more and sustain it for generations to come, really.
I think we've had absolutely fantastic support from Plymouth today, and the way that we've engaged with all the different community groups. So we've got Plymouth Hope here, that's a local community football club. We've also engaged with different groups from the council that engage with refugees, and all these different community groups that have just come together to make sure this event happens.
Yeah, okay, so, oh, sorry, I'm just going to pause that there. Yeah, that's just a video about how we went about setting up that partnership with Plymouth Hope in the majority, and how we started to do some more positive work in Plymouth. And that work's obviously come a long, long way since 2018. I'm just going to try and skip this slide. And that one, because it's not. Okay, so how are we still being involved in that work? How are we continuing to learn and further our knowledge? So this is the current landscape. This is during the third lockdown period. It's a training session that we did called Mid-Ground, and it was led by David Fendino, who is the CEO and the founder of Plymouth Hope. This is a training session of which 60 of our full-time members of staff here at Argyle Community Trust took part in. And it was, yeah, led by David. It was all around how to find the mid-ground, how to have conversations with people with a BAME background, and how to maybe some of the terminologies that we need to be using in schools and whatever delivery locations that we operate in. And yeah, basically, it's a partnership that's been well founded, and we continue to contribute to each other's work in a positive light. Unified Plymouth is a project that I myself am involved in, and certainly us as a trust, where we work with 4 other organisations in the city listed on the slide on the screen, to effectively promote change, promote harmony amongst communities, and also work with existing members of the communities to try and help them become more accepting of people of other backgrounds. This is particularly targeted at 4 key wards in the city, and they were registered as 4 key wards amongst the country, with the lowest acceptance rates of people from other backgrounds, nationalities and ethnicities. So that was why we've highlighted those 4 wards. So far, we've taken part in some schools programs, again, which might form part of the later discussion of this slide deck. And also, we've looked at things like how we can use food, how we can use football, how we can use music, how we can use the arts to bring people closer together, and also provide people with more education on how they can become more accepting of people with different backgrounds. This is one of the programs that we were involved in. So this is a mid-lockdown program from July 2020. And actually what we did is we worked with a local faith organisation, which is Transforming Plymouth Together, and also Plymouth Hope and the DBI. And we set up a project in which we created 50 really British cream tea packs with a cricket set in them. And we also created 50 Nigerian jollof rice packages, and we had 50 families from migrant backgrounds and 50 white British Christian families, and we swapped those packages over, and they were then able to meet via Zoom to communicate and share recipes, share some conversation around how they found living in Plymouth, how they found welcoming people from different backgrounds in their city, any issues to do with COVID. It was fantastic, and it was a nice way for us to bring people together through food, as a different means to what we would usually use here at the Trust, which would be sport, and that was really successful. We use national campaigns, so every year we run a tournament which is with the national campaign Kick It Out. We usually use goals as a facility, and we do a community tournament where people from all different types of backgrounds and ethnicities are involved. Such teams like Plymouth Hope, we've had Devon Lions, who are an LGBTQ+ team, come along, and then we follow that with a parade of the pitch, which you can see at the bottom of the screen, and yeah, an awards evening, and it just brings people much closer together. And this last video I'm going to show gives you a little bit more context as to a program we've done through the CMF program, the Unified Plymouth program, most recently, and that's a program called It Started with Jack, and that focuses on the story of Jack Leslie. He's a former Plymouth Argyle player and was someone that should have been the first black England international footballer, but was denied a cap because of the colour of his skin. This video will give you much more detail on that story.
Had he been white, he would have been a certain English international.
It was a lot tougher then, and he must have gone through a lot of stuff.
They checked his face, but it was black, not white, so they just denied him.
You know, we talk about what we go through now in society, what they must have gone through to be not even picked.
I feel robbed from my granddad. It would have meant the world for him.
Football legend, second to none, Jack Leslie came to Devon, 1921.
He should have been England's first black international footballer, but he never did play for his country because of the colour of his skin.
Jack Leslie came from East London here to Plymouth Argyle in 1921, where he became a bit of a club legend.
He became captain of the club, probably the first black captain of a professional side. So a pioneering legend just for that alone.
Jack Leslie was the first black footballer to be selected to play for England. But then his name was withdrawn from the team sheet. And that's almost certainly because the England selection committee realised he was black and his face didn't fit.
It's very difficult to comprehend how the colour of your skin can dictate how successful you can be in a job that you do. You work hard for it, score so many goals for a certain club, you become a legend, and you get treated in a certain way which is obviously very disrespectful and very sad.
He told the story to a journalist in the 70s and said the FA came to have a look at me, not my football, but at my face. So, it was the colour of his skin that denied him that chance.
His moment of what he'd been working his whole career for, because of the colour of his skin, it was just snatched out of his hands again. If he was alive today, where would he be? And what would he have done for England if they'd let him play? But we're never going to know.
It took another 53 years for a black player to finally feature for England, Viv Anderson in 1978. Since then, nearly a third of call-ups have been of black heritage, and now 100 have won England caps.
Obviously, Viv was the first black player to play for England. It was, a fantastic kind of moment, But yeah, for sure. If the earlier start, who knows where we would be now?
He was an unassuming, very modest guy, very well liked. And when he spent his pre-retirement years at West Ham in the boot room, he often was so unassuming that some of the West Ham legends didn't even realise he had a football career, let alone the England story.
So yeah, that's the video that we showed during our session, and the Jack Leslie programme itself. It features things like where we speak to university students, we speak to businesses, we speak to school children of all various ages. We get them to think about role models in their life. We talk about some BAME role models, both nationally and within Plymouth, and we really get people to start to understand that and accept people, and also promote that education of others in and around Black history, and also sport, and how that can play a really important role in changing people's opinions, whether they're ingrained or opinions that they may have. So yeah, that's again a really current version, a current idea of some of the programs that we're delivering in multiple settings to promote inclusion and to use sport as a tool to improve people's inclusion of others. Okay, that's where we stop for questions.
Superb, thank you, Dan. I think it was really insightful and at times quite moving presentation actually about some of the work that you're doing, and I think as a trust, as an organisation, you clearly are having a huge impact on people in the local area. I've written down 2 questions that they're not really questions. I think it'd just be useful just to get a bit more from you about. So the first one is the sad issues about racism in the city, and obviously you spoke about the social media account, and then you spoke about some of the partners that you've worked with to kind of fight against that a little bit and to support people through that process. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, either individually or as an organisation, or what you did, kind of through that? Because you gave us a little bit of a flavour and then spoke about the other organisations, but it'd be really good to know more about what you did.
Yeah, of course. So we actually played a little bit of an intermediary role between Plymouth Hope, who were acting on behalf of the victims in this case, and the schools. So the schools of the children which they attended. We introduced conversations. We tried to calm conversations on a couple of occasions where actually young people, their parents, Plymouth Hope potentially, were incredibly aggrieved and they had every right to be that way. And yeah, we played a role in making sure that conversation was progressive. We played a role in ensuring that they were steered in the right way, and also that hopefully we made our point very clear that it's not acceptable, and offered our services to those schools to come in, deliver the mid-ground programme, to deliver any other educational opportunities we might have to help students, to educate students on finding that mid-ground and understanding difference, and actually make them, and what we have done through that is work with Plymouth Hope to develop a session which I guess allows students in Plymouth to know more about the city, understand that it is becoming more diverse, understand that firstly that their opinions might be wrong, and understand that they cannot be accepted and will never be accepted as the city becomes more enriched. You're on immediately.
Just realised, yeah, excellent. And I think that, yeah, outstanding answer. And you've been at this work for quite a long time now, haven't you, in terms of trying to support this inclusion issue. For it to be truly effective, and if we're going to talk about social inclusion, then really what we're talking about is running initiatives and projects where people come together. And sometimes in this space, we might run a project which is exclusively for a demographic group that are harder to reach or have fewer opportunities. But then obviously the end goal is to try and kind of bring all of that together. So what we're essentially talking about is changing the attitudes of people. Now, that's a really difficult process to go through, isn't it? Because it takes a long time to change attitudes. So how successful do you think you've been so far in terms of changing the attitudes of people about race and ethnicity? And kind of what might this look like for you as an organisation over the next couple of years? So kind of, are you getting involved in different things, new things, or is it a continuation of the kind of outstanding projects you're already involved in?
Yeah, well, I think it's a great question. It's something that we have to pose to ourselves quite regularly, but we need to keep understanding the demographic of the city, and understanding the challenges of groups. I think that's something that I've certainly learned recently, is particularly about some of the minority communities within Plymouth that they do feel very, very isolated. They only engage in activities and provisions that their community put on. And as a central point, in terms of we're the only professional football club in the city, we represent that club in the community. We need to provide an offer for everybody, and we kind of pride ourselves on that. But how can we pride ourselves on that when we're not reaching everybody? We're not reaching certain demographics, and it will be an ongoing piece of work. And that's why it's quite interesting and exciting for us to find out things like where people with an Asian background are being targeted and are being affected by hate crime because of COVID-19. How can we, as a football community trust, affect that? Well, we can actually get involved in conversations to see how sport can play a role in combating hate crime, and it can. And I think we've shown that through some of the work we've done in schools on the mid-ground programme with Plymouth Hope, where we work together, looking at a classroom where we might be placing a white British coach in to deliver a football session alongside a black coach or a black teacher from Plymouth Hope. And immediately then it brings to light that the session delivery is diverse, and actually the content is all about promoting diversity, acceptance within sport and acceptance within communities. And again, I don't think it's a piece of work that will ever have been overnight, but I would say I've been involved in this since potentially about 2017. And as we find out more and we're able to access more statistics about the demographic of Plymouth, it makes the job easier, because we can find out more. We know who we're not accessing, which groups we're not accessing, whether that might be because of a language barrier, it might be because there's maybe some previous bad relationships, and addressing that. And that's something that me and my team continue to do, I would guess, at least weekly. On
mute again. I thought brilliant, and I thought of one more question as you were talking, and You've spoken a lot about external non-sporting organisations, and I think they're the most important organisations to connect with in terms of some of this work. But what about within sport or within football? So like, how closely do you work with organisations like Devon FA or Active Devon or any other sporting organisation around some of this work?
Yeah, I think certainly Devon FA, the video there was a Devon FA event which we hosted and which we spoke at, and it's incredibly important. I think like the FA, when we talk about the stories like the Jack Leslie one, are important. I think we're tied in with the Jack Leslie campaign as well on that programme. But yeah, we're willing to work, and one of our programmes, Premier League Kicks, which I didn't really speak about too much on the slides, is a fully inclusive, free offer for young people aged 8 to 18. And we work on that alongside other clubs. We work on that alongside community clubs to provide that right offer, and that includes Plymouth Hope. So yeah, it has to be, and I think the aim for this would be that it is a citywide offer where all of us sporting organisations are involved. Yeah, one to think about, I think, because we traditionally in this space have worked with the local authority, with Plymouth Hope, with now maybe some faith organisations, because we're able then to quickly identify who we're not working with. But yeah, the FA obviously have their own targets in that space too. So yeah, really important.
Excellent, thank you, Dan. I think we can round it off here, and thank you for your time, particularly as you are in a full work day, as we can see by the people kind of with footballs around outside and the noise in the background. So for you to give up your time like this, it's been really useful, and I'm sure the students will really appreciate it. So thank you very much. I'll end the recording now. If students do, just before I click end, if students do have any questions, obviously they can come through us and stuff like that. But is there a way that they can either contact you or engage with some of the work that you're doing, you know, away from just this recording that they're going to watch?
Yeah, I think I'll send you a couple of links that I think would be really handy to send out and bring the It Started With Jack video to life a little bit, where we've done some work in a local secondary school. Cadus, our targeted youth mentors, done that. I think it'd be great for everyone to watch and let it bring that to life a little bit. And yeah, on the flip side, I'm more than happy for my email address to be shared. Anybody who wants to engage in some placement, anybody who wants to engage in some work whilst studying in this space and they're interested in it, absolutely welcome into that. So hopefully this has been okay. My apologies about some of the background noise and things, but it's just about the fastest moving working environment I've ever seen. So can't change it now.
No apologies necessary. Dan, thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.